For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, we are live and amplified. So let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome, everybody, to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Kingsley with us here today. How's it going today, Kingsley?
Good. How are you?
Doing really well. You know, it's one of those days where I thought today was going to be a complete shit show because we're super shorthanded at work. We had a guy that just left, and it's like, now we're like really shorthanded. But today was actually a really good day, so I'm excited. Just the fact that we survived the day, you know. So.
Amen. I love that.
Yeah, but really excited to chat with you. I'm glad you were able to jump on here. We had a little bit of time to chat, and you know, excited to learn more about you, your music, and what you got going on in the world. For everybody that's just kind of getting to meet you for the first time and what have you. Kind of take this opportunity to introduce yourself, kind of give a little background on who you are and what you're about.
Yeah, my stage name is Kingsley. Government name is Mo, like the Three Stooges. My dad really wanted a boy, but here I am in the flesh. I am from Chicago, actually, originally. I've lived in Portland for the last 6 years and went to music school there, went to college, got a vocal degree, a business degree, and have been doing my project Kingsley for about 4 years. I don't count COVID as, I count this as a lump sum. These last 2 years have been technically one. So technically my project's only been 4 years. I'm just gonna give it that. What else about me? I'm single now. I'm really enjoying it. I was in a relationship for 4 years and now I'm single and I'm having a blast. I just turned 29. Life is good. Life is amazing.
Awesome. Well, you said the magic word. I'll make sure this is pointing the right way. You said Chicago, so
yay!
It's I grew up on the south side, so it's when people say Chicago, I'm all about it. Whereabouts?
I grew up on the south side.
Whereabouts?
So my parents are gonna kick my butt because I don't know exactly where. So I'm a suburban kid, but I grew up on the south side until third grade. I was born at Memorial Hospital, like right by the Sox. Yep. Yeah. So somewhere over there is where my parents lived until like third grade. And then we moved to the burbs. So I'm a Plainfield kid.
Okay.
But yeah, south side.
Yeah. I was born on the north side in like Rockford in that area. So like super northwest side. And then my dad started working in Gary, Indiana.
Nice.
So then
right on the line.
Yeah. Then we moved to Lansing, Illinois at that time. So like right up against Chicago Heights.
I actually have family. Yeah, my family lives in Lansing still. I have a couple of my cousins that live there. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then Rockford, I went to Northern Illinois, which is DeKalb, which is right next door to Rockford.
Yeah. And then I went to Southern Illinois for school. So yeah.
I'm very sorry.
I didn't hate it. Like it was a good time. I had a good time. So
my parents went to Southern. I went to Northern. I was not. No, couldn't do it.
Well, I had in grade school. It was either you had to choose. You either went to Purdue or Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Like those were the two teams every teacher rooted for, and it was like, we're the Illinois teams. Just saying, you know. But no, that's really cool. I'm all about the South Side. I love it. I probably would never move back, but you know, it's still a place in my heart. So, so growing up on the South Side of Chicago, what originally got you into music?
Yeah, I owed my music tribute to my dad actually, who like taught me like Chicago house music. Like I grew up on deep cut Chicago house music. And started singing very young, like in the church choir and in like school choirs. and just really loved it. I remember singing at a talent show in 3rd grade, and I sang Falling by Alicia Keys. I did not win because, you know,
Yeah.
But I just remember being on stage and truly, I'm sorry.
No, you're
Speaking
good.
of my family, my little sister's FaceTiming me.
That's,
I have a really big family. I have 7 siblings.
oh, wow. That's crazy.
There we go. Yeah, 7 siblings. But so started a Jonas Brother like band with my sisters. We thought we were going to be like the sister Jonas Brother band. It did not take. We were not very good at it. But from like those moments and like my family surrounding me with music, that like really made me like fall in love and want to do music. And I knew it was going to be in the capacity of like pop singer. I really just didn't know the rest of the steps, right? You see Beyonce on stage, you don't know what it takes to get to there.
Yeah.
And was lucky enough to have parents who kind of knew the music industry to like be like, go to college and study this, get a business degree, like try to intern with music companies so that I learned a little bit more and didn't just like book it to LA at 18 and like get my ass kicked or anything like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. I think like just Chicago and South Chicago in general, for whatever reason, I think family bands are a little bit more prevalent there because like, I mean, obviously you started with like the Jacksons out there in Gary. My dad tells me stories because he grew up in Lake County about little Michael Jackson at the Lake County Fair, you know, all that fun stuff. And then there was like a couple of like family bands from when I was in, this would have probably been 2006, 7. Like there were a couple of family bands that were at like a lot of the county fairs, or like I went to South Suburban Community College.
Yes, awesome.
And so there was a few family bands that were around there. And then I would hear just stories of other family groups that were together. So it's, I don't know.
am so jealous of those. My siblings and I, they did not care to practice. And that is like a really big factor.
Yes.
So I like wrote the songs. My sister has perfect pitch. She can play any instrument. I'm so jealous of her. So I would write the songs. She would play the songs. My other sister would harmonize, but they like did not care to practice, just didn't care. And like, it was so much my passion. And I just continued doing it, but I'm jealous. I love seeing family bands. I'm like, look at how cool that is.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's really interesting. And, you know, I get the, like, it's interesting that the people that weren't like dedicated to it are the ones with like perfect pitch and can do all, like, are super versatile. And it's like, give me a little bit of that, but you know, it is what it is.
I got the practice determination skill, so that's okay. You know, I didn't get the perfect pitch, but I got like relative pitch. I taught myself pitch, and like can figure it out. So that's a good skill. Yeah,
like that's my dad. He's got perfect pitch, but I think after he got out of high school, it was just like, yeah, I'm good. He'll go sing karaoke on Tuesday nights, but you know, it's like, oh. Funny, so funny. So you're doing the family band, and then obviously you guys kind of separate. Well, not separate, but you go in different paths and what have you. What's the next steps for you? Are you exploring a solo career? Are you working with other bands, or after?
Yeah. So about my junior year of college or of high school, I like begged my parents to get me like a mic. And this is the back in the day. I don't even know if they use this recording software anymore. It was called Live 8. I don't know if they do that anymore.
Yeah.
But we like begged my parents to get a subscription of this and a microphone. And me and my sister bought a beat pack, and we like made this song called Lie Detector. And my parents were like, this is pretty cool. So they sent it to my uncle to mix and master. And I released it in 2011, like super duper cool. Like, this is my single on iTunes. And it just got me really hungry to be an artist. So that's when I was like, Mom, I want to move to LA and I want to blah, blah, blah. And my mom's like, you're going to go and you're going to study music. Yeah. So I went to college and I did track and field like they wanted me to. And I was a music education major, and it was holy hell terrible. I remember leaving, we had to do like go and sub at middle school bands and choirs. And I left a middle school band in my head. I sat in the car and my head was banging. And I was like, I don't want to do this major. Like, this isn't what I want to do in life. I'm like, what should I do in college that like fulfills me.
Yeah.
So long story short, I transferred schools and I ended up being like this vocal performance major, but it was opera. And I like sat with my vocal teacher and I was like, listen, I want to be a pop star. So we can do classical technique and training, but I need to sing songs that I'm actually going to take with me in life.
Yeah.
And so we would do the minimum requirements of like opera songs that I needed to do.
Yeah.
And then he would let me practice all like Hosier and Adele, and I'm practicing runs and all of this stuff. And it was so thankful to Dr. Sims for like really allowing me. And then the other thing I did, because I quit track and field, I added another major. I added a business major.
Yes.
And I went to the dean of the School of Business and I was like, listen, so I'm technically not going to do like business stuff. I'm going to do music business. So could I like pick the classes I want to take and still call it a major? And they were like, technically no, but we'll work with you. So I literally like dumped this music business major together, ended up getting 2 degrees. Like I got enough classes to like pass but I really just like Morpheused it out to like make my college career exactly what I wanted to do in life. I'm like, if I'm going to do this internship, I'm going to go do a festival internship. I'm not doing a regular marketing. I do not care. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I understand that a lot of musicians, they would love to go straight out of high school and go straight into a music career, hit the road, whatever. But it's not the reality of the situation, where a lot of parents are still super old school, where it's like, nope, you got to go get your degree, because nobody, at least the guilt trip that was laid on me when I was a young kid was, nobody in our family's ever gotten their college degree. We want you to go get your college degree. It's like, all right.
I was the first of my siblings. There was so much pressure.
I was almost not the first. I'm the oldest in my immediate family. Like my cousins went off to Iowa and they got their degrees, but as far as like me and my sister graduated the semester after I did. I was an idiot, and I was just like,
not an idiot, just taking your time.
There you go. But all that to say, for the musicians that do end up going to school, doing business and marketing is probably the smartest. Like, if you're not going to study music, going into like business and marketing, because those are skills that are easily transferable into a musical career, as far as like knowing how to market yourself, promote yourself, and even just like understanding the basics of contracts and stuff like that. That stuff comes in super handy.
Or you will get screwed over. You will learn. You will learn quickly.
Yes, absolutely. And it's just one of those deals where it's like, I get it, but for me, it's like, I wish I took a marketing class or a promotions class or something like that. So, so you went to Northern Illinois. You said you transferred schools. Was it you transferred out of Northern Illinois, or you transferred to?
I started at North Central College. It's a private school. Yeah, started there for 2 years, and I was like, oh baby, got to go. To go.
Where was North Central based out of? Was that down near
it's in Naperville, Illinois.
Okay,
it's
gotcha.
like, it doesn't even look like a college. It's 3,000 kids in total. Like,
is it like
if
one of
you're
those
Black and you're not an athlete, they're very confused on why you're there.
Yeah.
Like, all of the Black kids are athletes. Like, period.
I got you.
So
is it
it
one
was
of
a
those
very
like? Is it one of those like DeVry type campuses where it's like a building?
No, so it goes straight back. It's like 8 blocks back, but it's only 2 blocks wide.
Okay.
Like, if you drove past it, you would drive past it.
Gotcha.
But no, it's a bunch. It's huge. I mean, I lived in this thing called Resurrection or Resrec. It was this new field house, and they had dorms on the outside, and all the athletes lived there. I was late for practice still, but that's because the elevator took so long from the 4th floor to get to the field house.
I feel
but 6:45, it's so hard. It's so hard.
I got you. That's so funny. So then you transferred out of there, went to Northern Illinois, which my first college party was at Northern Illinois. I was a little apprehensive about it, but Northern Illinois knows how to party. I will say that.
Oh, let me tell you, the fact that I got 2 degrees in 3 years, because I was a junior transferring in, and I still don't know. I will talk to like my friends from college, and I'm like, it is uncanny how much we went out and how many, like how I still passed everything and was still on time to stuff. Like,
that was that's the conversation at Southern Illinois. It's like, I know how many Tuesday nights we went out for whatever, or just went and got a keg.
One drink.
Yeah, we went out for one drink, or we went and got a keg, and it was like, you know what, we're gonna just we're gonna enjoy this one, and then didn't go to school on Wednesday or didn't go to class on Wednesday, you know. So yeah, it's interesting. But then again, when you're young, you got momentum on your side. It's like, yeah, we'll get through it. So, so after you graduate, is that when you start moving out to Portland or Oregon, or do you stick around the Chicago area for a little bit?
No, I moved a week after I graduated, which is hilarious. I could not take another winter there. I graduated in May, and I told my parents I wouldn't even stay for the summer because winter was coming. Like, I could not do it. Could not take another cold winter like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I regret going up there for Christmas, and Christmas is probably the best time of the year to go there, just because everybody's in that mood and whatnot. But then it's like, man, there's that off chance of a snowstorm, and it's like,
or -degree weather, just -5.
Yep. But then that's why I moved out here to Central Texas. I was like, okay, it's not going to be that bad. And then the first winter here, it's like a whole bunch of snow, black eye, you know, just everything. And I'm like, oh. That
happened to me my first winter here. They hadn't had snow in 20 years. It was my first winter. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
It's one of those things. It's just so unfortunate. And so that as you kind of move out to Portland, where's your music at this point? Are you just kind of playing, recording, writing, singing? What are you kind of doing at this point?
Yeah, I moved out to Portland with absolutely nothing. And I think it's, I look back and I'm so humbled by the experience and just the community that I've cultivated in the last 4 years, 6 years technically. But I had the one song in 2011 and now it's 2016 and I'm moving out to Portland. So I'm moving, I apply to a bunch of music venues. I end up landing this internship because they paid. With this amazing venue called the Old Church Concert Hall, and I'm their artist liaison, and I'm teaching them. I had just come from the festival circuit, so I'm teaching them about the green room and how to advance and all of this stuff. And then I moved from artist liaison into their head of marketing position, and I'm like meeting people, and I'm going to open mic nights, and then I meet my producer who I produced my first album with. So like the Old Church was such an amazing instrument. I met my best friend, Haley Johnson, who was on American Idol. She plays bass for Big Wild. I just was her maid of honor last week at her wedding.
Oh, wow.
But this amazing venue that just had so many opportunities for me to network and connect. And I was such a newbie. I just was telling everyone, like, I just moved here. Like, I don't know anything. And people would be like, come out to this and come out to that. And I would go. And Portland is such a great place to incubate and to learn about your craft and to practice your craft on a live stage in front of people. So I moved in 2016. I didn't release my next project until 2017, which was singles. And then my album came out in 2018. So I had spent a lot of time here, like meeting and connecting and really like learning the next part of music, which is like what it takes to make an album, which is intense.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure. For sure. Why did you kind of ultimately, because I know you had mentioned that you were looking to move to like LA originally. LA to Portland, that's not even like
so funny.
Okay.
So I moved with my ex. And so when I graduated college, we kind of made a deal that I would move to Portland for the summer and then I could move to LA after the summer. But my deal was I had to work at a music job or something in the music field. And I couldn't pay rent because the way our college worked, you would pay June to June, but you lived August to August. So I had the whole summer of rent free. So I was like, I'm not moving with you and paying rent. Like I want to just stash money. Yeah. So I moved there with him. We broke up in November. So after the summer, and I stayed because I had learned so much about the music industry just in the few months. I was like, I'm going to stay for a year and I'm going to really learn my stuff before I go. And that year turned into just, you get older and you realize like this glitz and glam of like what LA is just really not true. Like I fly to LA a lot to work and it's cheaper to buy a ticket to fly to LA and live in Portland tax-free. They have no sales tax here. It's
Yeah.
insane. And even just like the connections that I've made, like I fly to LA a lot, and this is not dissing LA, but just like the types of connection that people, they really climb, they network like this. And in Portland, you network like this.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go there and get screwed over. And I had so many of my friends move from LA and tell me the things, and it was never fear-based that I was like, oh, I can't go there because I'm moving to London. It was more like, I am going to learn all that I can learn and really kill as many markets as I can without having to be in the market. You know, I don't need to live in LA to go play a sold out show and come the fuck back, you know?
I feel that. It's one of those things where I feel like LA changes a lot of people, and not always for the better. Like LA's got this stigma about it, and people that live there say, oh, the stigma is not real. It's like, no, even people I've met at the beginning of the pandemic that had just recently moved out to LA, and 2.5 years later to now, they're not the same people that I met 2.5 years ago. By any stretch of the imagination, LA got to them, and they're not the same people. So,
and we went to Illinois party schools. We like to party. I can't live in LA. I have work to do.
It's one of those things where I've had this conversation, and at this point, I really don't care if somebody gets mad at me about this, but LA's a lot of talk. There's very little walk. It's all clout chasing. And you know, it is what it is. You know, like, I mean, it's good in spurts. Like, I'll go out to LA, I'll spend the weekend there and do what I got to do, but I'm coming back to Texas or wherever I'm living at the time. So,
that's exactly how I feel. Come on back.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, so you're out in Portland now. You released your first album. You said 2018, right? Yeah.
2018.
Released your first album in 2018, and then you started releasing some. Obviously, the pandemic hits in 2020, kind of does what the pandemic does. And you kind of said earlier that you don't count the pandemic as part of your music career.
I don't count that year.
Okay.
It was an incubate year.
So what were you kind of focused on during the pandemic? Were you just yourself, or?
I had such a crazy pandemic, and there was so much bad that happened, but so much good that happened. And it was like the first time I was able to slow down and ask myself what actually makes me happy in life. So right before the pandemic, at the end of February, so this is right before March 5th. So February 28th, we're in Vegas, and I'm playing a show with Sony. I have a song with Sony. They did this Motown 20-year anniversary.
Nice.
And I have like a panic attack before I go on stage, like full blown. I'm not a panic attack person. I'm such a vibe. I don't have depression. I'm such a vibe. I have a full blown panic attack, and we perform, and I forget to perform the song that I was like supposed to do there. Right. And we get back from Vegas, and my bandmate Amy calls me, and she's like, something has to be done, girl. Like, this trajectory is not a good, like, the stakes will always be high. Like it's only going to get more stakes from here. And so when the pandemic happened, I kind of got to sit with myself for the first time and like reevaluate the type of pressure I put on myself, what actually makes me happy in life, why do I do music, what I get from performing, and just do this reevaluation. And man, I came out the other side just on a cloud, and really am thankful for the pandemic. And because of the pandemic, I got to slow down, and I created a lipstick collection that went with my album. I made a recipe book that went with my album. I did a podcast with my album where I got to talk about each song and interview the person that had the most influence on that song and share a cocktail with them. And then my album finally comes out, and it's just this whole new light and love that I have on stage, that I'm like, I don't even stand behind the mic stand anymore. I'm like in your face and just here, and so much more myself and authentic. And it's owed thanks to the pandemic. So that's why I don't count it as a year, because it was really a rebrand. I had to step back.
So after 2020, you released a bunch of singles and ultimately released your second album. Was the year of just kind of sitting with yourself and reflecting, did that influence your next set of releases? Because I noticed you were talking a lot about reflecting about yourself and just kind of what just kind of reflecting with yourself, and then you released a song called I'm Fine, and then like Therapy and stuff like that. So it all just started to kind of make sense when you're kind of on this rocket trajectory in 2019, and somebody kind of noticed that if you don't take a minute for yourself, you're going to the wheels are going to fall off the bus here eventually. And
the wheels were falling. Hot damn.
Okay, fair. I was trying to pull back a little bit, but you went there, so we'll go with it. And so through that year, were you just doing a lot of self-reflective writing, or were you kind of explain a little bit more in depth of like what you're doing creatively throughout that year?
Yeah, so I rewrote Crying on Holidays. So Crying on Holidays was originally supposed to be titled each holiday, 12 holidays, so Valentine's Day, Thanksgiving. And I would write about my feelings about it because I'm far away from and I have a big family, and Crying on Holidays was meant to be this like connector through the holidays. Like it's tough for everybody in different reasons and whys, and the holidays have changed so much for me from like, my family, so we have the little kid Easter egg hunt and the big kid Easter egg hunt, where the big kids have $500 in that golden egg. And I will fight my brothers and sisters tooth and nail. I will take my wig off and get that egg. I got rent to pay. So it had changed so much. My mom gave me this idea. And so when the pandemic happened, I kind of sat with all of these things, and I was going through a breakup. And I was like, I really want to write Crying on Holidays about my first breakup. I want to take, and this was really a healing thing for myself because I waited so late in life to fall in love. Everyone has their high school sweethearts, and I wait, and I'm still waiting. I was like, I can't believe this happened finally, so it's a start to finish album. And because I got time to sit and rewrite and be a little bit more creative, it really is my heart and soul. That like Therapy, I wrote after a therapy session, and really sad. And even in the lyrics, trying to save me from you. I'm trying to save me from you. These were the thoughts that I was having. And I'm fine, realizing like, actually, I'm actually fine without you. What? Mind blown. Not my heart, thinking that you're not going to be okay. You're going to be okay. So because of COVID, I got to like slow down and rewrite some things and really sit and even do the visuals different. The music videos had to be a little bit more creative because we were in COVID, and everything had to be intentional, like really intentional. And I'm really thankful. And I want to take that into my next project, that like really intentional and authentic and really giving my heart and soul into things.
Yeah. And just for the people that are listening, Crying on Holidays is the album that you released in 2021, so last year, just for anybody out there listening to connect the dots and whatnot.
It is a start to finish, no skipping, like Adele's album and Beyonce's B-Day album. Don't skip, start to finish. No shuffle.
I love those kind of albums, especially because those are the kind of albums that I love listening to on vinyl, where it's like, all right, drop the pin, let it play, and there we go. So for Crying on Holidays, you said you rewrote it during the pandemic. Were you looking to release it earlier, or like, Yeah,
I got all my crowdfunding in February of 2020. Okay. So I did a Kickstarter, got all my crowdfunding. And so we were supposed to start tracking in April. And then March happened, and my producer, it was in his apartment. He had a separate room, and his apartment complex, naturally, it was like, we're not letting people in. This isn't like June. So I'm like, okay, what the heck do I want to do? He connected me with another guy who had this house studio that was attached, and Sean Brahman of Sunset Digs. I produced the album with him, and it was honestly one of the best things that could have happened, because I sat in the room and mixed with him, which I'd never had happen before. Usually my mixer will send me the mix, I'll send him notes, and then I was like in the room and got to talk to him about why I liked the things that I liked and the type of equipment that like makes that translate.
Yeah.
And all of these languages that I didn't have before, I now have. And I feel like this project, we remixed You Didn't on remixed and remastered it for Crying on Holidays. It was a release before. And even if you listen to that before and the after, there is so much musical intellect that I got to do that I had no idea. And there's nothing wrong with the letting your mixer do it and send it back to you. But there was something very special about sitting in the room and actually seeing all of the things and being able to be a part of it in a way that I never got to before.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's, just I've noticed during the pandemic, a lot of musicians started taking more of a look in the production aspect of things. And whether it was just because they had to or they wanted to, like whatever it was, I think a lot of musicians are starting to learn and appreciate more the production aspect and educating themselves to the point that they can communicate better with their producer or their engineer, like whoever's doing what, you can communicate better with them when you understand even just the basics of production. So,
there's a joke. I don't know if you've seen Dave on Hulu.
No,
okay, it's a really funny show. It's with
that's the one with Lil Dicky, right? Yeah. Okay.
So there's a scene with his childhood friend who's a producer, and he's producing with Trippy Red, and Trippy Red's like, turn that thing down, bump it over, and pump it up a bit, and then the guy looks at him like, and then plays it, and Trippy Red's like, yeah, that's what I wanted, and I'm like, that's literally me, like. What are you saying? Like, I'm trying to communicate. I want this to sound ghosty. Make it sound spooky. And the producer's like, do you mean an echo effect? Like,
yes, that's exactly what I mean. Sure, why not? I probably need to watch it. I've heard good things about it, but it's just one of those things where Hulu is one of those streaming services. It's like, I'll have it for like a month or two, and it's like, okay, I don't watch anything on here, and then I just get rid of it. So
Bob's Burgers on there, so I have it. I watch Bob's Burgers like every day.
Gotcha.
So.
Gotcha. Didn't they just have a movie come out?
They did. I watched it.
What'd you think of it?
I've got pros and cons. One, I love Bob's Burgers. I think it's amazing. Con, it was the same plot from earlier seasons. Like it was just the same. And I thought the music was better from like the earlier season than this one. Like there was no song that I was like, ooh, I'm going to sing this later.
Yeah.
So
I gotcha.
But I love Bob's.
Gotcha. I watched Bob's Burgers during the first couple of seasons, and then for whatever reason, I just kind of fell out. Nothing against the show. Yeah.
Keep watching it.
Okay. I'll get back on the train. So
like season 1 through 3, they didn't really have money. So season 4 and up, they got some cash. So it's really great.
Nice. Season 3 is about the time I stopped watching. So
that makes sense.
But that was also right around the time that I stopped watching The Simpsons, and The Simpsons just got like super repetitive, and I'm like, I'm good. So, it is what it is. So you'd mentioned, or you got the album out 2021. You mentioned you're working on a new project. Where are you kind of at creatively? What's this new project?
I'm so excited. So this new project, I finally settled on a title. It's called Come Find Me. And we just finished tracking all the demos. So I have 8 demos done. And it's so far from what I've done before. So my last 2 albums were specifically about heartbreak. And this new project, I kind of took a book out of Dua Lipa's chapters. She, in a interview with Rolling Stone, said her last project wasn't actually about a person, but she decided that if she wanted that person to be there, she would manifest them through these songs. And when the album was done, this person was here. And I was like, what a beautiful thing. Like, we want songwriters so often to have it happening in real time and to trudge through the mud to write this song. And what if I just write a song about the next chapter that I'm excited for, which is being 29 and single and moving to a different country. Like, I love flirting. I love sleeping around. I think sluts are amazing. I'm like, yes, explore your sexuality, be beautiful. And so this next project about Come Find Me is like the next thing. Like, let's have a good time and let's connect in ways that, you know, you got to do it in college. Like, let's just ball out and be beautiful together.
Yep.
So I'm really excited. They're very housey. They definitely attribute to Chicago. They're very housey.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I think my dad is gonna like cry his eyes out when he hears this house.
I dig it. That's awesome. That's really cool. You know, I did want to touch on this earlier because I remember there was something that I wanted to mention specifically, and I couldn't remember what it was because we got off on a side tangent, but you just brought it back up, and it's like, oh, I remember what I wanted to bring up. It's really cool that like, it's unfortunate that you had to go through a breakup to kind of realize that this old stigma of coming out of college, getting married and having kids and doing like the family thing, that's not necessarily like, if you're not married by the time you're 25, it's not the end of the world. It's, you know, I'm 35, I'm still not in a relationship. So that tells you something right there. So
this next album will be for us, right? I think, and even like, so when I moved with my ex here, I was doing so many house things, and there's nothing wrong with this, but like he'd get off work, I'd make sure his dinner's ready, we'd share a beer and a blunt together. And I'm like, that is not me. Like, I want to be out at an open mic night. I want to be out at a concert. I like going to the clubs. Like, I like starting at 6 a.m. on my laptop until noon, taking a nap, and then being out and about.
Yeah.
All of these things that like, we would go weekends, we would look at RVs, and nothing is wrong with that. But like, I was trying to mesh into this like after college person, and I'm like, this is not who I am. And so any person who's doing that, like, have a good time with yourself. There is no better time than yourself. And it took me such a long time to get what that actually means. And while I love sharing moments with my friends, and I had so many great moments with my partners, I freaking love vibing with myself. I love it. Turn on the new Beyonce album, grab my blunt. I'm having a good time. I'm dancing. So yeah, it's really incredible to love yourself enough to not need another person to add to. They got so much they're dealing with. Let them deal with it.
100%. You know, it's so it took me 3 years to kind of realize what we had in college. It never went away. We just thought it had to go away. Like, I spent 3 years at Southern Illinois, and it was like, oh, I was just young, dumb, you know, and just, you know, doing whatever I felt like because I could. And it's like, no, I was just living my best life. Like, that sounds very cliche to say, but I was living my best life. I look back at those memories and it's like, yeah, I don't remember half the stuff we did because I was probably pissed drunk, but the stuff I do remember, I call my old roommates from school and it's like, hey, you remember that time I fell down the stairs out of the front door because I was so drunk and tripped over the fan? And they're like, oh, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, and then so it got to a point where I was like, okay, I've got to stop drinking that much. You know, I'm getting old, you know. And then I went out to Memphis this past weekend. There was a musician from England that came over. We've had her on the podcast a whole bunch of times. And she was like, hey, I'm going to be in Memphis for 3 weeks. Let me know what weekends you're free. You know, we'll do a podcast, you know, we'll do whatever. Yeah, I'm like, cool. I need a weekend out. I went out to Memphis and I was like, I went in with the mindset of never been to Memphis. Anything they say they're doing, I'm going to go do it. Like, because for the last 3 years, it's like, nah, I'm going to stay home. I'm going to take a nap. I'm tired, you know. I woke up Sunday morning to come back to Texas. I felt so good, even though I had slept for like maybe 8 hours the entire weekend. I woke up and I burned through that trip home because I felt so good. I was so energized. I was so happy. And I was like, man, I don't want this to end. And, you know, yeah,
It doesn't have to.
No, it doesn't.
Always living your best life. Yeah. I think COVID really taught me that too, especially because we didn't have options to go out.
Yeah.
I think now I'm just like, I want to live like I'm 21 always. And just have a good time. And just, I don't care if my back hurts. I'm going to be out. I'm going to be out.
Yeah.
And let life revive me.
Yeah. And then it was I was talking to a buddy of mine because I just recently gotten COVID for the first time like a month ago, and I was down for 2 weeks. I wasn't sick, but it was just like I wasn't 100%. And I was down for 2 weeks, and I was like, man, this really sucks. I can't go anywhere, all that stuff. And then like the Friday morning, I test negative. I feel all right. My boss is like, you can come into work if you want. If not, we'll see you Monday. And I'm like, I'm going to come in. And my buddy texted me. He was like, so are you going to take it easy now that you know how serious COVID is? Or are you going to what's the plan? I was like, no, I'm going to go balls to the wall and be completely reckless now because I survived this. It wasn't that bad. I was like, I was tired and whatnot, but I'm not going to let this scare me. Like, I'm going to go, and this is just a thing we have to live with now. So
it's the thing now.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that life lessons that I've learned over the last 3 years. So
yeah, hell yeah.
But,
hell yeah.
So you got the new project in the works. Do you have any like release details? Are you doing singles and then a full album, or where are you kind of at in that thought?
I love singles. I'll probably do 3. I'm in love with 3 of them. I'll definitely do music videos because that's who I am. I love music videos. I think it's a part of, Beyonce does a really great job of like why visuals are so important.
Mm-hmm.
I think music videos kind of get lost in the dust now.
Yeah.
I will do 3 music videos. I love music videos.
Yeah.
And it'll probably be hopefully a middle of the summer release.
Okay.
We will see.
Nice.
My heart is open. I'm just, the demos are done. That's like the hardest part is like honing in what
Nice.
I want to say in the project and then demoing it out. So
that's what's up. That's awesome. And then of course, I don't know if we were on podcast when you mentioned this, but I know at least you mentioned you're moving out of the country. You're moving to the London. What kind of spurred that huge life change?
Yeah. So my partner and I that I wrote Crying on Holidays, we broke up in March, which is hilarious. I released the album in 2021 and we stayed together for a year. No judgment, everybody, no judgment. Hardest lessons are given to the thickest of heads, I like to think. So when we broke up, I was like, I have to move out of Portland. Like I have to get out of here. And I just thought to myself, what would be the difference between LA now than LA 6 years ago? And I was like, nothing. So I need to move out of the country. Like there's no place in America that I could move to that would really make or break or change my life. And so I kind of I wanted to move to London, but it was like a back burner. And so I bought my ticket drunkenly on my 29th birthday, first class. I was like, put it on a credit card. We will figure it out later.
Yes.
Now I'm figuring it out. So I'm moving home on August 26th. I'm moving back to Chicago to give my parents my car and some of my house stuff. And then I fly out September 12th, one-way ticket. We bought a one-way. So,
nice.
And I'm going to do like I did here, just talk and smile and connect and learn, live and grow.
I dig it. That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah. I've never been to London, but hopefully soon. Like I'd mentioned, I'm supposed to go out to Blackpool, England over Labor Day weekend. They've got a locals country music festival that they do out there. And I'm supposed to go out there to do media coverage, but my passport's not working like I want. Like they said they'd get it to me in time. And then I got an email last week and it's like, no, damn you.
You haven't tried the expedite? I mean, I did mine in December.
Even expedite, they couldn't guarantee it. And I was like, I guess and then of course, like the funding's not quite there. It's like I could go and do it, but it's gonna be like I'm gonna do it on the super cheap. And it's like if I'm going to London, I don't want to do it on the super cheap.
You're gonna want to. Yeah. Well, if you don't go, then you'll know one person there. Yeah. So if you decide to go, I go the 12th, so I won't be there until after Labor Day. Yeah. So if it doesn't work out, you know one person. Yeah. If you decide to go later.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm kind of in the same boat as you are, where I've been here in Waco, Texas, for about 3 years now. I've kind of hit my peak as far as what I can do So like I work for the new TV station. I work in news for like my day job in marketing and creative services, all that stuff. And I've kind of hit my peak here in Waco. So it's like, do I want to stay in news? Everything in news is so polarizing. And it's like, anytime I go out and say, oh, I work for the ABC affiliate, oh, that fake liberal hippie, like whatever it is. And it's like, I don't really want to have to worry about that conversation. So, right now, the dream situation would be if I got a fully remote job and I could just kind of, oh, hey, I want to go live in Tampa for 6 months. Cool. Yeah. I'm going to Tampa for 6 months. I want to go live in the UK for 3 months, like whatever the visa restrictions are, like whatever you can get there on a passport. Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like, if I can get the right situation, I'm all about it. So
I do believe if you just keep speaking it out, it shall be, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Well,
so the more people you tell.
It's funny though. So I've been saying for the last 9 months that by November, I'm going to be in Nashville. So that's kind of been because my mom passed away last year. So my dad lives in South Florida and my sister lives do you know where Wheatfield, Indiana is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my sister lives in Wheatfield. She works for the state of Indiana. And she's expecting her first child, I think, in September. So it's like, I kind of, if I'm going to base myself out of anywhere, Nashville geographically makes the most sense because it's like, it's 18 hours from my dad, 9 hours from my sister, it's like right there. Yeah. But then if I want to say, oh, I'm going to go spend 6 months somewhere, that remote job will come in handy. So that's kind of the plan right now. I just got an interesting email this afternoon. It's like things are starting to turn. So
yes, I'm here for it. For it.
Awesome. But so that's all super exciting stuff. And hopefully my boss isn't listening because she does not want me to leave Waco. She's like, she called me today. She's like, I know you're talking about leaving, but what can we do to keep you here? And I'm like, well,
remote
100%. She's like, but the contingency plan is that you have to keep your address here in Texas. So yeah,
they can change it. If COVID taught me anything, it's nothing is real. Nothing is real and everything can change.
Facts. Absolutely. So you're moving to London here in little more than a month. What's the most exciting part about it for you? What are you looking forward to about the move?
I think the most exciting part is I feel like the giddies again. Like when I was moving to Portland, I'm like really excited to get out of my comfort zone again. I'm so comfortable here. Like I have my group of friends, and when I go out, not to be like I'm super cool, but people know me when I step outside. So like I never go to an event thinking like I don't know anyone. If I ever go to an event alone, chances are I know at least 3 people there.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to go back to an event where I have to be like, hi, my name is Kingsley.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I'm really excited for that feeling and having to live in fear again, to like put myself out there. I really think I'm ready to grow more as this performer and really diving into my authentic self again. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just been the most exciting part of getting back to basis. Nice. And I'm like, okay, let's go. Go. Yeah. Nice.
I get, unfortunately, a lot of my contacts out in the UK in general are more country musicians, but I do have a few people that I can get you in touch with to help find places to play and all that fun stuff.
Anybody, it doesn't matter the genre. That's my favorite thing. Like any person I want to connect with. And I think I think that's why I'm so successful here in Portland, is because I do pop music and there's not a pop scene. So I have to be friends with everyone.
Yeah.
I'm friends with every genre. I don't really care. You do music, let's vibe.
Yeah.
Let's hang out.
I feel that. That's awesome. That's really cool. And then are you going to officially record the album out when you're out in London, or are you going to try and get it recorded before you go?
No, there is no time here. So I will definitely do it there. And I still don't know who I want to produce with. And I think that's one of my favorite parts about this project is usually I have everything planned out.
Yeah.
And right now I have the demos done and I have what the visuals will look like. And I finally have an album title because I didn't have that. So I'm just slowly, I'm doing it a little bit differently. Usually I have the recipe and I'm grocery shopping. I feel like now I'm just at the grocery store being like, what do I want to make for dinner tonight? I'm really excited.
Awesome. Well, outside of music, when you need to escape and you're just like, it's Sunday night, screw it, I'm going to go do something for myself. What are some of your hobbies? What do you do outside of music?
I'm going to miss this apartment. My apartment complex, it's a luxury apartment, very, very classy. Yeah. We have a hot tub, a steam room, and a sauna on the 21st floor of the rooftop and a grill. So I will go grill by myself. I love to grill. I love grilling. I will make myself dinner. I will watch the city on the 21st floor skylight, watch the sun go down, and then get in the hot tub, steam room, and sauna by myself. I'm a very spoiled brat over here. And that is going to be one of the hardest parts about leaving this place. Hardest parts.
I feel it.
That's my fuck it, I'm going to go by myself.
What are you making on the grill?
Oh my gosh. Steaks. I love making kebabs. I love corn on the cob on the grill. I love doing potatoes. Potatoes take the longest. You got to have a patient heart. Yeah. A patient heart will make the potatoes the best. I try to tell people that. Don't give up.
Yep.
I'm a big steak fan. I love steak.
That's the Midwestern in you though. That's the Midwest growing up in the Midwest. Like I'll go grab a nice steak. The only thing about Texas is our corn is shit. Like the corn on the cob here sucks. I'll be the first to admit it. But growing up in South Chicago and Illinois in that area, we used to go out to like Chicago Bears training camp out in Bourbonnais there. There's always like farm stands where it's like the corn was always nice and sweet.
The best corn.
The best corn.
Yes.
And it's like you can't.
I would tell people you can't get anywhere. I would tell people my college would have corn festival. Our first week of school, it's literally a festival for corn. And I would tell people like, you get all kinds of corn there. Sweet corn, red corn, white corn, yellow corn. Like people don't get it. I'm like, we're corn people.
Yes. Like when you drive, like people don't realize once you get an hour outside of Chicago, you're in the middle of a cornfield. And you're going to be in the middle of a cornfield until you get to,
the next state.
Pretty much. Essentially, pretty much. It's like, depending on what direction you get to, like Springfield, you'll get out of the cornfield, but then you get further south and you're in the cornfield for actually the funniest thing. So the first semester, or when I was going down to Southern Illinois to, do my orientation or whatever, it was like I was going for a campus visit. That's what it was. And my dad was driving, my mom was driving. They had this little minivan that had a little pop down TV and you could watch like DVDs and whatnot. I don't know what was percolating in my head, but driving through Illinois, I was watching Children of the Corn, like the old school horror film. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like watching this movie and I'm looking outside and I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't be watching this, but it is what it is. It's a liberating experience.
So. Absolutely not. We have never seen it, will not see it. I didn't even in high school, I grew up in Plainfield. So Plainfield, I grew up in cornfields, farming town. And they would go and tip cows but they would play in cornfields, and drink in cornfields. And I'm like, I don't care to be the popular kid. Yeah. I am not. I peed my pants in a cornfield once and I will never go back to that again.
Yeah. Ever. I feel that.
Absolutely not.
Well, you're going to go out to London. I don't think they have cornfields, but who knows? I'm not well versed with the agriculture of the UK or England in general. So before we kind of wrap up this podcast, because I don't want to keep you too much longer here, we have a fun little game that we play with everybody that comes on. This is called Rapid Fire Randomness. It is a game where I have a random question generator sitting right here. I'm going to fire off 10 random questions at you, and you just kind of answer them as quickly as you can.
Okay.
So if you're ready, here's Rapid Fire Randomness. What is your greatest pet peeve?
physical touch. I don't like bones rubbing against each other.
Would you rather be beautiful but stupid or intelligent but ugly?
Oh my God. Beautiful but stupid. Are you shitting me? I weaponize incompetence.
If you had to guess, how many dollar bills are currently sitting in your apartment?
Oh man.
Just dollar bills, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'd say probably 150. I hide dollar bills for myself.
Nice. That sounds like something a lot of
yeah,
sounds like
it's a good
something a
idea.
lot of people need to do. Would you
Yes.
would you rather live until you were 200 but you look like you're 200 your whole life, or look like you're 25 but live until you're 65?
200 for sure. I'm trying to see flying cars.
That would be nice. That would be really, really nice. Would you rather never use social media again or never watch TV again?
Never use social media ever again. No, just kidding. I would do TV. I can live without TV. I could watch the episodes on social media. Is that getting around it?
I was just about to bring up Bob's Burgers. Like, what are you going to do without your Bob's Burgers? But
I would just be on their Twitter. I would just read their statuses. It's fine.
gotcha. What do you tell yourself when you don't feel like getting out of bed in the morning?
This is a great one. I hold my heart and I take a deep breath and I say, thank you for the rain, but I would like some sunshine.
Awesome. If you could suddenly become an expert in anything other than music, what would you choose?
The clitoris, so that I can teach men what to do. I would start a podcast.
I mean, you should do that anyways, but would you rather suddenly have amazing cooking skills or video game skills?
Oh, cooking skills.
Well, I mean, if you're out there grilling, I feel like you have to have a certain level of cooking skills.
I have really good cooking skills. I would say baking skills. I'm not patient enough. I'm a really great cook. I would love to learn how to bake.
All right, we're getting deep here now. When you're on your deathbed, what would you like to have accomplished with your life?
So that's really funny. Because of COVID, I really act like every day I'm going to die.
Mhm.
And this is like not the dramatic thing. So I just want to make sure I am my true, authentic, happy self. That is what I hope to accomplish.
Yeah, awesome. How many breakups have you had in your life?
Oh my gosh. Well, a lot, because people fall in love with me, but I fell in love once. So I've had one breakup that really broke my heart.
Sure.
I can't help that they fall in love with me. I tell them I'm like, don't do it. It's going to be a terrible time for you.
What was the last new word you learned?
Ooh, last new word I learned. Well, that last new word I learned how to spell was Renaissance, because that's Beyonce's album and I have to keep typing it. And there's so many S's and E's. I'm like, girl, why didn't you pick a better word? So that's the last new word I had to learn how to spell. I can now spell Renaissance.
Perfect. And then we'll end on this question. In life, is it more important to be educated or empathetic?
Empathetic, always, because you don't need something to exactly happen to you to understand and to give space for. I talk about that all the time. So if you're sad and I'm sad and we vibrate on the same sad frequency, it doesn't need to be you're sad because someone passed away and I'm sad because my car window got smashed. I think empathy, above all things, is one of the main ingredients the human race is really skipping out on. So empathy all day. You don't need sympathy, you need empathy.
Facts. And because this question got a lot of controversy in the last podcast.
Oh, I'm ready for it.
Chipotle or Chick-fil-A?
Oh my God. Chipotle. Chipotle is my life. Chipotle all day. Chick-fil-A is just okay. Why you close on Sundays?
Yeah. Well, when that question popped up on Tuesday, I was like, do people really mess with Chick-fil-A like that? Like for me, it's Popeye.
My brother does.
For me, it's Popeye.
My brother.
Yeah.
My brother is a Chick-fil-A spokesperson. Okay, I was like, they should hire you. They should hire you. They should give you a punch card. He has the sauce. You know, they sell Chick-fil-A sauce.
Yeah.
He goes to the store and buys the sauce.
Wow, that's a little extra. That's a little extra, but it's what it is. And then because you're from Chicago, does pineapple belong on pizza?
Oh my goodness. Here's my thing. Do what makes you happy, but don't do that around me.
Fair. I just want people to understand, because this used to be a huge contention point on the podcast, because it's like, pineapple does not belong on pizza. You put that on your fruit salad. No, go away.
I am gluten intolerant and I'm dairy intolerant. And when I go home, I have Giordano's pizza.
Yes.
Because
Giordano's is good. Okay. Favorite pizza place from Chicago?
So it used to be Illuminati's, and then they got a bunch of like not doing Black Lives Matter, right? And I was like, y'all, I want to give you my money so bad. If you're going to be racist, don't be loud. That was like, what is this new thing? I'm like, just be better than that.
Yeah.
So now, forever and always, it was always Giordano's, but I did like Illuminati's, but Giordano's deep dish, sausage, mushroom, onion, and bell pepper.
Nice.
Chef's kiss.
When I'm in Chicago, for me, it's Geno's. Like Geno's was kind of always the place we went to, but there's this place called Aurelio's that they just do pizza right. It's not like your traditional deep dish. It's like Chicago thin crust. I don't know what it is. It's just, they get it right.
My thin crust would be Rosati's. Does the thing. Like the thin crust Rosati's, they figure it out. Yeah.
It's one of those things where in Chicago, you could literally go to any street corner and find like there be really good pizza right here. And then you go to the one next door and it's like really bad pizza. So
oh my God, that happened to my ex. I brought him to Chicago for a festival and he was like, I'm going to go outside and get pizza. And I was like, I want you to Google. He's like, no, he goes and grabs the worst pizza in the history of pizza. And I just looked at him and I was like, that's the gamble. Either it's top notch, or it just doesn't do it.
Yep. There's this place by my grandma's house. It's called State Line Pizza because my grandma lives in Dyer, Indiana. So it's like the pizza place is literally on the Indiana-Illinois state line. And one day, like I was about to say 20 years ago. I don't think it was 20 years ago, but about 15 years ago, my dad and I were house sitting for her. And he was like, the one pizza place that we normally went to was closed for whatever reason. He's like, you know what? I'm going to go get a pizza. There's a pizza place down the street here. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. He comes back, it's State Line Pizza, and he sets it on the table or whatever. And I start eating it. He gets a large because when my dad and I eat pizza, we don't stop at like one slice. you know that one. This pizza, we literally stopped at one slice. It was like, this pizza is so horrific. I cannot do this anymore. So.
Yeah.
But talking about pizza, yeah. But it's been an absolute blast chatting with you. I've enjoyed reminiscing about the old days in Chicago and, all that fun stuff. For anybody that wants to follow your career, listen to your older music or the upcoming music, where's the best place to get all your information?
Yeah, if you want to hear me talk just mad shit, follow me on Twitter. If you want to know about upcoming shows and music releases, follow me on Instagram. And if you want to see me be absolutely absurd and have nothing to do with my music, follow me on TikTok. So those kind of things. You get 3 different versions of me.
Nice. I'm trying to get better about TikTok. I'm trying to get better about all the socials. TikTok is becoming a little bit easier, but I'm not consistent enough for TikTok.
I just try to do different things. Like I love talking shit and I just tweet it. So I've learned that like, that's my space. That's my space to be like, what is actually happening?
Absolutely. And then you brought up Twitter. Twitter's an interesting space in and of itself, but anyways.
Oh, I like it. It's just my thoughts out for the public to read.
I feel that way too much, but once again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. It's been an absolute blast. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch you all later.